Welcome back to our channel, Living in Atlanta, Georgia. And in this video, we're going to give you a map tour of exactly what it's like and everything you need to know about living here in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's dive right into it. In this video, we're going to talk about living in Atlanta, Georgia, everything you need to know from a map tour edition. And we've been getting a lot of clients reaching out to us, kind of asking, hey, Rob, hey, Amber, where is this new construction that you're talking about? Where is Alpharetta? Where is Buford, et cetera, et cetera. And in this video, we're going to show you exactly that. So first things first, when we moved to Atlanta, Georgia, one thing that we noticed was the freeways and how confusing they may be to someone who's not from the area. And this circle that I'm putting around Atlanta is actually the inside the loop, inside the perimeter, outside the perimeter. So ITP, OTP, inside the perimeter, outside. So this is outside the perimeter. And you got it. This is ITP here, ITP. And what that means is that perimeter that's going around Atlanta, and the reason for that is to make less traffic actually going through the heart of Atlanta itself. So as I get rid of all these drawings, you're going to see that when you're coming from the north side outside of this loop, if you were coming from, let's say, the Roswell area and you're coming down the freeway right here, instead of going through the heart of Atlanta all the way through, what you do is you would jump on the 285 and go west and then south and then east. And that's what makes it so confusing, because you can be on the 285 and different times it'll say, hey, 285 north or 285 south, etc. 285 west, 285 east. Which way do I go? Well, this is why. It is an easy ring around the city. Some of these major cities in the United States do have this, and it does help tremendously, because if you are driving, let's say from the north side of Atlanta and you wanted to go to the airport, and the airport's right here, it's going to take you a lot longer going through all this area unless you're driving at 1 a.m. to get down here. The easier way would be to go on the outside perimeter, jump on 285, and then come all the way around here. Or if you're coming from maybe this direction, you would jump on 285 and go all the way around right there. Sorry, my drawings are not very good with this mouse, so you have to bear with me. All right, so that is inside the loop, outside the loop. Now, what is inside the loop and how big is it? Well, when you're driving from the north side to the south side, if you were to go straight through, it probably only take you about 20 minutes without traffic. But like I said, with that heavy traffic, all that congestion, it'll take a lot longer depending on the time of the day. But with that being said, you'll see some of the prettiest buildings at night coming through here, Midtown Atlanta, all the high-rise condos, all the tall office buildings are all right here. And it is a really, really pretty drive. As much as the traffic does suck, it is really pretty. Now, if you're coming down here because you like the nightlife and you like to be around for those kind of things, and maybe you're not into the suburb living, well, there's a lot of great areas to live with inside the perimeter. If you kind of go up a little bit up here, you'll see Buckhead. This is one of the most popular places people like to move to just because of what you get in the city of Buckhead. It is expensive. You can also move to Decatur. And then if you want to be outside the perimeter, there are a lot of suburbs outside the perimeter. So let's go ahead and zoom out. As you can see, this circle, well, sometimes there's a circle up here, but this is where I live. This is where we relocated to, which is Lake Lanier, just on the south side. And if we want to drive into Atlanta and make that commute for whatever reason, we're going down to Atlanta, to go all the way through to there, well, it's only about a 45-minute drive without traffic, probably about an hour and 20 with traffic. So if you're going from this area or maybe this area and you're shooting on down and you're going down for work, it can be a little troublesome. Now, if you are coming from maybe the outskirts of the west side or the east side, same thing. So Atlanta is designed where all these major freeways are coming right into the hub of Atlanta. So that's why there's that congestion. But then again, that is why there is that outside loop to be able to make it a little bit easier. So earlier we're talking about what's inside Atlanta, what's inside the perimeter, what's outside the perimeter as far as the subdivisions. Well, depending on what you're looking for, right? So some people are looking for maybe newer homes that have more land, or maybe you want a smaller home with a lot of land. That's going to put you in different suburbs, different places throughout Atlanta, Georgia. Now, Atlanta, Georgia, in reference to the state of Georgia, Most people live in Atlanta compared to the rest of the state. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an outline here so you can see how big Georgia is. So from the border of Tennessee and Georgia, right here in Chattanooga, coming from there all the way down to the south side to the Florida border, you're looking at about a 5.5 hour drive. So it's not a huge state depending on where you're moving from or relocating from, but it's also not a small state either. And with that, there is a lot of land all through this area. But inside Atlanta, it is definitely condensed. A lot of people live here, a lot more buildings, a lot less trees. However, there are still a lot of trees still around the city of Atlanta. So it kind of gives you that concrete jungle feel where there are roads going each and every direction, but there are still some trees, not as much as the outskirts, but still quite a bit. Now, if you are someone who is into sports and you like the Atlanta Braves or the Atlanta Falcons or the soccer team or any of that, maybe the Atlanta Hawks, well, Atlanta's got all the sports teams here. They do have a hockey team, a new hockey arena that is coming in Alpharetta, right in this coming area. So there's something to come for the NHL potentially. They're still working on that. But for the other teams, I'm going to show you where those places are at. So right on the outside of the 285 loop that we were just talking about, right in there, here is where Truist Park is home of the Atlanta Braves. And ooh, that got ugly real quick. That is home of the Atlanta Braves. And right there, you'll see that it's very easy to get here, whether you're coming from the 75 and coming from this direction, coming in from Marietta or even further north, or if you're coming in from where we live, coming down this freeway, or even coming from the Buford side, you'll hit 285 and come around. And this is where the Atlanta Braves play. Now, if you're looking for football, that's going to be the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Let's see if I can find that real quick. All right. So right there is the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This is where the Atlanta Falcons play. Not the greatest football team, but this is your pro NFL team for Atlanta, Georgia. You also have the Atlanta Hawks basketball. It's a State Farm Arena that is right down the street from there. And you also have Georgia Tech University. And Georgia Tech University is a major college down here. Go Yellow Jackets. And they are a big college town right in here. So a lot of schools, a lot of sports all through Atlanta, whether you're in the perimeter, outside the perimeter. Now let's scoot on the outside of the perimeter. Most of our clients that are relocating to North Atlanta seem to be family style people moving here from maybe an area that got too expensive, or they're coming here for work where they still want to live close enough to Atlanta to get there, but they don't necessarily want to live in Atlanta. And that's going to bring you to these suburbs such as Kennesaw, Marietta, Douglasville, Alpharetta, Johns Creek. And I can go through all these. We're going to do other map videos highlighting a little bit more about these subdivisions just because we know these areas really well. For example, Johns Creek. Did you know Johns Creek is rated number 3 best best suburb to live in all of the United States? So that is right there outside the perimeter, outside Atlanta, but it is close enough to drive in. Now, let's say you want to be a little further out from the city and you want to have that lake life living. Well, you can shoot up to Lake Lanier over here. You can shoot over to Alatoona Lake over here, or Lake Hartwell right over here. So these aren't as close to Atlanta. The closest one is probably Lake Lanier. Like I said, that's about a 45-minute drive down to Atlanta. But this is the largest lake in Georgia. So a lot of movies are filmed at this place. A lot of entertainment, such as Margaritaville at Lanier Islands. They also have the golf course there. There's Mary Alice Beach. There are a ton of boats that go through here all through the summer, including the winter. Now, in the summer is when we get most of the rain here in Georgia. So when that happens, this water level does come up because it is a man-made lake. This is a dam right here, Buford Dam. You'll see the road, Buford Dam Road. This is the water that flows for the city of Atlanta. So they made this a dam. This actually used to be a city that is under Lake Lanier. You can look up the history of Lake Lanier. It's pretty interesting. A lot of scary stories and this and that about Lake Lanier, but we live about 2 minutes from Lake Lanier, and this is why we moved here, is to have that lake life living. And like I said, this isn't for everyone. Some people want to be a little bit closer down to Atlanta. Some people want to have more land for maybe their horses or just land in general. And all of the Atlanta suburbs offer everything you are looking for. So I have not yet been able to find an area that someone like or doesn't like because it doesn't fit what they're looking for. I guarantee that if you reach out to our team, we're going to be able to find you the perfect place based on what you are looking for. And we can pinpoint it probably right into the right neighborhood and probably to the right home. So reach out to us. Our phone number is right below. But let's get back into it because there is a lot to talk about when it comes to these map tours, especially if you are relocating, right? And we talked about the inner and outer loop. But what I like to kind of really mention is that traffic that draws up that people talk about, this Atlanta traffic. Listen, I used to live in Los Angeles off the 405, so you can't tell me bad traffic. But if you're coming from maybe a slower pace of life to Atlanta, Georgia, well, the traffic may build up on you depending on what you need to drive into Atlanta for, whether that's going on a vacation or if you're driving Monday through Friday. That's going to help us determine on where to kind of show you maybe on places to look to live around Atlanta. For example, here in the city of Cumming, Georgia, you have the 19, also known as the 400 corridor. If you call it the 19, people are going to know that you are not from the area. But I would just say 400. There's your pro tip. But if you are coming from the north, anywhere from that direction, and you are traveling south in the morning, right, you're going to hit traffic right around Alpharetta, probably exit 12, exit 13, depending on what time in the morning you leave. You're going to see the traffic build up right there. Now, on the flip side of it, when you are driving home from work, say at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., whenever that time may be, well, that was a terrible arrow. I apologize if you can't see my stick figure artwork here. But if you are traveling north, you're also going to see the traffic from here to here be pretty bad. And then after here, it lightens up. And then the further north you go, the less traffic there is. So there are people that actually live up here in Dawsonville, Dahlonega, who commute all the way down to Atlanta because you can get a lot more home and you can get a lot more land for your money and still be able to commute in. Now, not everyone is driving in. There are other ways to be able to get into Atlanta and not have to drive the entire way. Let's say that you live in Dahlonega, or maybe you live in Dawsonville, or maybe you live in Gainesville and you want to go into Atlanta for work, right? And you're traveling down or you travel across and you're going down. Well, when you get down to about this area, this is where the very first MARTA stop is. MARTA is a mass transportation system that runs through Atlanta to kind of allow people to jump on the train to get in and out of the city. In fact, you can take the MARTA all the way into the airport, literally right into the airport. Done it multiple times. My kids love doing it because we don't have to really worry about traffic. You get to see different people, sometimes some homeless people, sometimes some weird people on the train. But at the end of the day, it's pretty safe. I allow my wife to get on that by herself. By herself, I would have no issues with that. Although my wife is a 10-degree black belt and probably beat me up if she wanted to. No, she's not a black belt. But point is that the MARTA is pretty safe to travel on. There are a lot of different routes that go out to different directions from Atlanta. So if you're coming in to the airport, and once again, the Atlanta airport is a number one busiest airport, I believe, in the United States or in the world, one of the two. So it is a large airport, home of Delta, a lot of connecting flights in and out of Delta. But with that being said, if you live in Atlanta and you travel into it and you want to take the MARTA, well, it makes it really easy. You don't have to really worry about parking for the first 24 hours at the MARTA places. And then if you do have to leave your car overnight, maybe you're going on vacation for a week, the parking is not bad. I want to say it's somewhere between $5 and $10 a night compared to airport parking being at, 20, 30, $40, depending on how close you are to the airport. Now, so we talked about MARTA. We talked about a little bit of the traffic. We talked about some of the suburbs, but let's touch base a little bit more on the suburbs. So I told you that we live up in the Cumming area, but maybe you have a child who is a football star or you like to go watch high school football. Well, right here in Buford, Georgia, This is going to be the home of more D1 recruits out of high school than anywhere else in the country. And let me repeat that. More D1 kids come out of Buford High School than any other high school, I believe, in the nation. So a lot of NFL, retired NFL players live in Buford, a very, very nice area. There's a Top Golf, the Mall of Georgia is in Buford. In fact, we can zoom in a little bit more. And to get to Buford from this side of the lake is probably about a 20-minute commute, only because this road has lights through it. It's not a freeway. So if you are traveling from this side and you want to go over to this side, well, the only way to go through it is on the 20 or through 141 and then back up this way or all the way to the 85. So there's not a clear shot. This is one downfall about Atlanta, going from one side of the area of the pie shape that I like to call it, going from one side to the other is not an easy route. So actually talking about that, I want to talk about this pie shape thing that is talked about pretty often. So this is the pie that we're referring to, right? So from Cumming, Georgia to Beaufort, Georgia, and then down to Atlanta. So although it's not a perfect pie, it does remind you of a pie slice. And going right up to 19 is where I meant to draw the line at. But you have Alpharetta here, and Alpharetta is on both this side and this side of 400. You also have Sewanee and Buford that are on both sides of this freeway, 985 and 85. But all in here, you're going to have great schools, great communities, a lot of higher end price point homes. And then, of course, everything out on the outskirts got to have a little bit less expensive to live more or less on this side versus this side. And this map is starting to get really ugly with all my drawings. But point is that you can be within this pie-shaped area and still be close to Atlanta, still be close to Lake Lanier. And you can also shoot up to the Blue Ridge Mountains, which is up here. And this is very, very pretty area, a lot of Airbnb rentals. So if you're someone that likes to invest, this is a great area to invest up in here. Big Canoe is a great place as well. But a lot of mountain cabins, all those kind of things going on up here. And then you have a lot of big lots, big lands, 20, 30, 40 acres all through here. You also have lake life living on the north side of the lake here in Gainesville area. You're going to be able to get a lot more. Here's Gainesville, but really Gainesville is all through here. You're going to be able to get a lot of property on the lake at not an expensive cost. So if you want to have that lake life living, well, there's going to be another map video coming out all about Lake Lanier, lake life living, and there's a lot of important information with that. But let's kind of drive down the freeway back down to Atlanta. There are a couple of different ways to get into Atlanta, as we talked about. So you have the 19. Now, when you're coming from the 19, typically you'll see a lot of just cars driving, commuting to work, right? So you're not going to have a lot of semi trucks and big trucks running through here messing up the road. So the freeways are actually quite nice on this freeway. It's called 19 or 400. Like I said, if you call it 19, people are going to know you're not from the area. But if you are on this side, and let's say you're traveling in from 85 right here, well, you got to be careful when you're driving because there's a lot of big trucks that come north and south here. We were traveling, like I said, we live here in Cumming, Georgia. We traveled down 20 and we were shooting up 85 going to South Carolina for my daughter's soccer tournament. And right about here somewhere, there was a big truck that had tools on it, and the tools came falling off the back of the truck. And we were driving, I was driving, and my wife was in the passenger, and some of the tools came up and hit the car. Luckily, it didn't hit the window. It could have been a bad situation, but they hit the car. And there's just a lot of trucks that go through here, a lot of construction going on, making this road wider. There is a lot of building going on all through here just because there are a lot of older homes that have a lot of land that are getting sold and subdivisions are getting put in there. So there's a lot of new construction going on here. But on the flip side, if you're looking for that slower lifestyle, or maybe you want newer construction and slower lifestyle, or maybe newer construction with big land, this is going to be a great place to look right in here. You get a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of new construction going on around Cold Mountain, Mount Highway, and some great schools in here. And still, you get that small town feel, but still close enough to Atlanta that if you need to commute and maybe you got a car that's gas efficient, or maybe you don't mind driving an hour each way, well, this area is not going to be a bad place to look at, just because you get a lot for your money and you're still pretty close to Tennessee and close to the Blue Ridge Mountains, a little bit cooler weather and all that. There's also Sawney Mountain, that is here. This is a really, really pretty. Let's see if we can find it. Coming city center. So we are close. Here you go. So Indian seats at Sawney. So this is Sawney Mountain, where you can take a hike all the way up to the top, but everything else around it is flat area. So it's just one big mountain. In fact, you can climb all the way to the top and you can see parts of Tennessee, which is way up here in Chattanooga area up north and over in this area. So you can see from the very, very top on a crystal clear day, very, very far. So that is a tall mountain in Sawney Mountains. You also have Stone Mountain, and this is a really cool area to check out. Is Stone Mountain. Let's see if we can find Stone Mountain right there. Stone Mountain is really cool. There is carvings. Actually, I think it's the world's biggest piece of artwork. Really, is they carved the faces, or they carved something. I think it maybe it's a horse carriage in the mountain, and it's bigger than the ones in the Dakota Mountains, the presidents. I can't blank on what that's called. And that's terrible. Don't tell my history teacher from high school. She'd be mad at me because I was really good at knowing that stuff. But anyways, the Stone Mountain is a great place to go check out. There is a ride that takes you up to the top. There's a store at the top of Stone Mountain, and it literally is a stone at the top of the mountain. It's the craziest thing. It's like you're standing on a huge rock up at the very top. So really cool area to check out. But yeah, so you have those mountains. You have Stone Mountain, you have Sawney Mountain, and then you have quite a bit of other little terrain areas, a lot of cool topography around Atlanta. But if you're someone that likes to, nightlife, maybe just you and your girl, maybe you and your husband, maybe you and your just couples maybe live in, Atlanta's a great place because there is a lot of entertainment, a lot of things going on. Great place to live. Now, we get a lot of people moving from Southern California simply because of the studios. They say Atlanta is Hollywood number 2. And really, here in Atlanta, they have a lot of studios for filming. They do a lot of filming on Lake Lanier. But down here in Fayetteville, Peachtree City, this is going to be where a lot of people who are in the studios are moving to. In fact, we just sold a home in Peachtree City. They couldn't believe the amount of home that they got for their money. They were in the 500s, under 600,000, and the home that they sold in Southern California would have been half the size of that and twice the cost and lower property tax. So a lot of people moving here because of the movie industry, a lot of work to be money to be made here in Atlanta, Georgia, just because so many companies are moving here. So many people are relocating to beautiful Atlanta, Georgia for so many reasons. We did it because we wanted a lower cost of living, a slower lifestyle, but really we wanted a different scene to look out at every day. We were from Southern California. Yes, we had the beach, but really we were in a desert area. So coming out to Atlanta, coming out to the south, we saw a lot of green, beautiful trees, just concrete jungle, a lot of topography, a lot of lakes, a lot of running water. And that's what we really love. And then when you get all that, you also get a lot of different type of nature as far as the animals and the deer. You'll still see that down in Atlanta. In fact, you'll see probably more roadkill than you're used to when you're driving on these freeways and these back roads, because I mean, like I said earlier, concrete jungle, there are a lot of animals that are roaming through here to get to the different creeks, the different ponds, different areas, all through here. So as you can see, Atlanta is a big area, but in comparison to the state of Georgia, it's the state's not that big. So Atlanta's a pretty good size. It's pretty well populated, but there are a lot of areas outside of Atlanta that you can choose from. And really, that is the area that we cover. We sell a lot of homes all through here. We get people reaching out to us every single day who are asking us who need help with relocating, because we've done it a couple of times. We've lived in Southern California. We lived in Austin, Texas, and now we live in North Atlanta, Georgia. And so we've gone through the process. We know what it takes to be able to move. We know how to be able to plan it. We know what you need to do. And we understand the process of being able to sell the home from one area and moving to a new area, whether you're buying new construction, buying a resale. We understand that people want to see what it's like living out here without having to come out here right away. And when you do come out here, give us a call. We like taking people out. We love to meet people. We go out on tours and show some of the areas that people are looking to relocate to. Of course, we like to meet with our clients prior to doing so, but nevertheless, we can show you everything that we know about what it's like living in Atlanta, Georgia. Tell me what you're looking for. Are your must-haves as far as the size of your home, your scenery, what you like to do for fun. And really, once we kind of learn a little bit more about you, we'll be able to tell you exactly where, hey, this is a good city, or this is a good subdivision, or hey, this is a perfect house for you. So we've been able to even dial it right down to the perfect home, new construction, resale, it doesn't matter, and find you a great place because we know what it's like relocating and we can answer those questions. And of course, our phone number is right here on the screen. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the video, comment on the video. And if there's an area that you're looking to relocate to or want to know a little bit more about, maybe it's Gainesville, maybe it's Alpharetta, maybe it's Lawrenceville, you tell me. We'll be able to show you the different areas, kind of give you a map tour maybe, and show you what it's like living in these cities and kind of go from there. We sold a home here in Winder not too long ago. These people actually relocated from Southern California to Tennessee, and then they were in Tennessee and then relocated from Tennessee down to Atlanta, Georgia. They were looking for something that a little slower lifestyle, great private schools. They wanted their kids to be in private schools. And this is the place that we showed them, and they absolutely love it. There's a couple of breweries that the husband likes to go to. In fact, we've gone to maybe 4 or 5 breweries with that family all through this area because Atlanta, Georgia does like to drink. They do like to have fun at the breweries, and the scenery outside of these breweries is just beautiful. So why not enjoy it, enjoy nature at the same time? But if there's anything we can do for you, reach out, give us a call. And we are releasing a new map video every single Wednesday, along with our new construction, our new subdivision every single weekend. So stay tuned for our next video. Until then, have a good one.